energy of prayer, blind faith, or real frequency? Have you ever wondered if prayer really works, or if it's all just an illusion created by fear and the hope that something greater is listening to us? The truth is, many people pray without ever stopping to think about what they're actually doing. They repeat words, follow formulas, light candles, but don't know if anyone is really listening. Now imagine if prayer isn't just a belief, but a real frequency that changes your energy and shapes the world around you. Yes, it sounds controversial, and it is, because the truth is that the power of prayer goes far beyond religion. It has to do with intention, vibration, consciousness, and even science. Studies have shown real effects of prayer on health, the environment, and even matter. And the most intriguing part? You don't even need to believe in it for it to work. The universe responds to frequency, not to skepticism. If you think prayer is just for desperate people, get ready to rethink everything. Today, you'll understand what's behind the silent force that has endured through centuries, cultures, and traditions. You'll discover that praying isn't about asking, it's about tuning in. And yes, there is a way to pray that truly transforms. So, if you've ever prayed and felt ignored, or if you've never prayed because you thought it was nonsense, this message is for you. Because maybe, just maybe, the answer you've been searching for is already present in the way you vibrate. What is prayer really? Word, intention, or energy? Most people think of prayer as a request, almost like a whispered outpouring to the universe, hoping something will change. But what few realize is that prayer isn't just about speaking, it's about vibrating. When you pray, you're not just sending words upward, but releasing energy that crosses invisible dimensions. It's like tuning into a spiritual station. And depending on the frequency you emit, what comes back is completely different. Some think prayer needs beautiful words or memorized formulas, but the truth is that what moves the universe is not eloquence, it's intention. A prayer made from a broken heart but spoken with truth carries more power than 1,000 empty repetitions. Because what truly echoes in the subtle field is not what you say, but what you feel as you say it. That explains why some prayers transform and others just repeat cycles. And here we enter a fascinating territory, prayer as vibration. What if prayer isn't a request, but a frequency that alters your reality? What you feel when you pray, faith, fear, despair, or gratitude, is what you're sending as a wave into the energy field around you. Like a spiritual Wi-Fi, what you transmit shapes what you receive. Interesting, right? This perspective changes everything. It shifts you from someone who begs to someone who influences. And if it's true that prayer is an energetic bridge between you and the invisible, then what exactly are we activating when we pray? Let's start exploring that now, and the discoveries are chilling. What science has already observed about the power of prayer? For a long time, science turned its nose up at prayer. After all, how do you measure something you can't see, touch, or control in a lab? But human curiosity goes far, and that's how the first serious studies on the impact of prayer emerged. In hospitals, scientists tested whether patients who were the focus of prayers improved. And the results? Surprising. In several experiments, like those conducted by Dr. Randolph Bird and Dr. Larry Dossey, it was observed that patients who received prayers, even without knowing it, had significant improvements. Fewer complications, fewer infections, even faster recoveries. Of course, not all studies showed the same results, but the question lingered: how can something so subtle influence the body? Here we enter a new frontier of science, the relationship between consciousness, intention, and matter. Prayer may be acting as an information field, influencing cells, the immune system, or even the patient's reality itself. This aligns with quantum physics discoveries, showing that the observer affects the observed. And what if prayer is exactly that, an observer with focus and love? Science doesn't have definitive answers yet, but it also can't ignore the impact of prayer anymore. Whether due to psychological strength, subtle energy, or something we don't yet understand, the fact is, when many people pray, something happens. And that's what's starting to awaken a new view of the real power of prayer. Prayer as a tool for vibrational alignment. Have you ever noticed how you feel different after a well-done prayer? It's like something inside you reorganizes. Your breathing slows down, your heart calms, your thoughts become clearer. This happens because praying, in essence, is an act of vibrational alignment. It's like tuning into an internal station, leaving the noise behind and entering the frequency of peace. When we pray with presence, we are literally changing our vibration. Anxiety dissolves, anger loses strength, fear shrinks. And in that state of presence and connection, our energy field expands. This isn't esoteric talk, it's subtle physics. It's been measured that elevated emotions generate more stable, coherent, and powerful electromagnetic fields. Prayer is like energetic hygiene. You remove emotional debris and realign yourself with what truly matters: faith, gratitude, love, compassion. This doesn't mean running from problems, but facing them with different energy, with a new signal. And that changes everything, because the reality you experience is, to a large extent, a response to what you vibrate. So if you want to transform your life, start by changing your frequency. And one of the oldest, most accessible, and powerful ways to do that is through prayer. If it has sound, great. If not, it still works. Because what matters isn't the sound from your mouth, but the frequency from your heart. Experiments with water, plants, and energy fields. The scientist Masaru Emoto became famous for showing how words and emotions influence the structure of water. He would freeze samples exposed to words like love or hate, and then analyze the crystals formed. The results were shocking. Loving words created harmonious, beautiful structures. Negative words produced misshapen, ugly, unstable crystals. Now think, if we're made up of about 70% water, what are our emotions doing to our bodies daily? And even more, what are our prayers transforming within us? It's not an exaggeration to imagine that praying is a way of restructuring the body, mind, and energy field. And it all starts with the vibration of a word charged with intention. Other experiments with plants show that when spoken to with kindness or even prayed over, they grow stronger, bloom more vibrantly, and resist harsh conditions better. This makes us wonder, if even a plant responds to the frequency of intention, what might be happening in the invisible field around us when we pray with faith and love? The science of the future might call this bioinformation, resonance, or coherence. But the ancients already knew. Everything responds to the energy of prayer. The universe listens, water feels, the body vibrates, and reality adjusts. Not through magic, but through tuning. Meditation, prayer, and heart coherence, what studies reveal. There's an interesting phenomenon that happens when we meditate or pray sincerely. The heart enters coherence. This means the heartbeats, breathing, and brain enter a harmonious rhythm. The HeartMath Institute, for example, has studied this for decades. They discovered that the heart generates a much larger electromagnetic field than the brain, and that this field changes depending on our emotions. When someone is in a state of gratitude or compassion, common during deep prayer, this field becomes stronger and more organized. This not only benefits the body of the one praying, but also influences the surrounding environment. It's as if prayer, combined with sincere emotion, reorganizes both the inner and outer world, and science is beginning to measure that. You can experience this with simple exercises. Sit in silence, close your eyes, and breathe deeply. Instead of just thinking something positive,
feel gratitude for something real. After a few minutes, notice how your body changes. It's as if your whole system realigns. Now imagine doing this every day with intention. Prayer becomes energetic technology. This blend of science and spirituality is growing stronger every year. What was once just faith is now a field of study. And the most surprising thing is realizing that the more science advances, the more it validates what ancient masters have always said. Prayer has real power.
The role of faith in activating the quantum field. Faith is not positive thinking. Faith is an inner certainty that vibrates higher than fear, doubt, or ego. When someone prays with true faith, they're not just waiting for something to happen, they're actively participating in the creation of that reality. And this has everything to do with the so-called quantum field, where infinite possibilities exist, waiting to be collapsed by consciousness. On the quantum level, everything is energy and information, and it is consciousness that chooses, focuses, and gives form. When you pray with real belief, you are shaping that subtle reality with your intention and emotion. That's why prayers made with faith produce such different results from those said in a hurry or disbelief. It's as if faith accelerates the manifestation process. This field responds to the vibration you emit, and if your vibration is one of certainty, love, and connection to the divine, you are literally attracting realities that resonate with that. It's not a magic trick, it's resonance. And prayer, in this context, is like an access code to the field of infinite possibilities. Faith, then, is not just a spiritual virtue, it's a frequency. And when combined with true prayer, it becomes a creative force. It's the union of the invisible with the possible. And perhaps that's why, in times of crisis, so many people pray. Because deep down, the soul knows faith is not an escape. Faith is power. Why some prayers don't work? Everyone has been through this. You prayed sincerely, asked with all your heart, and nothing happened. Then the doubt creeps in. Did God not hear me? Am I not worthy? Is prayer just an illusion? The truth is deeper. Not every prayer works because not every prayer is in resonance with the moment, the vibration, or a greater purpose. Sometimes we ask with attachment, fear, or anxiety, and those emotions distort the vibration of the prayer. It's like trying to tune in to a radio station with interference. The signal doesn't come through clearly. Other times, what we're asking for isn't aligned with our soul's true purpose. Life might be saying no now, only to give us something better later. There are also prayers that do work, but in subtle ways. The answer doesn't come as an instant miracle, but as inspiration, clarity, or an internal shift. And we don't even realize that it was prayer that activated all of it. That's why it's important to change the question. Instead of asking, "Why wasn't I answered?" try asking, "What did this prayer awaken in me?" Prayer is not a transaction, it's a bridge. And sometimes the greatest miracle isn't seeing what you asked for happen, but realizing that you already have the strength to keep going even when nothing changes. Because when faith grows, even silence becomes an answer.
The multiplied power of intention. Something magical happens when many people pray together with the same intention. It's as if hearts beat in unison, creating a vibrational wave that spreads beyond what we can measure. It's no wonder that during tragedies, wars, or disasters, global prayer movements arise spontaneously. The collective unconscious knows, together we vibrate stronger. Studies show that during large-scale meditation or collective prayer, rates of violence decrease, accidents drop, and even weather patterns stabilize. Coincidence? Maybe. But when coincidences repeat often, it's a sign that something is at play. The power of collective prayer doesn't lie just in the number of people. but in their alignment. You can try this with friends, family, or even online groups. Set a time for everyone to pray for a common purpose, someone's health, peace, emotional healing. Even if everyone is in a different part of the world, the energetic connection exists. Shared intention acts like a quantum amplifier. It multiplies everything. And that's why we should never underestimate the strength of a group. One candle alone gives little light, but many can bring the sunrise. In collective prayer, the miracle isn't just in what is asked, but in what is awakened within each one of us. Prayer in religious and spiritual traditions. Regardless of culture or time period, prayer has always been present in human traditions. In Christianity, it's a dialogue with God. In Buddhism, it's a connection with the state of compassion and enlightenment. In Islam, it structures the day and purifies the soul. In Spiritism, it elevates thoughts and attracts good spirits. Each tradition has its form, but the purpose is the same: to elevate. It's fascinating to notice how, even with different symbols, words, and rituals, all traditions point to the same principle. Prayer brings us closer to the sacred. It doesn't matter if you pray with a rosary, mantras, chants, or deep silence. The energy that moves is universal. It's the heart seeking reunion with the source. And maybe that's the secret behind so many forms of prayer. They all work when done with sincerity, because it's not the technique that moves the invisible, it's the intention behind it. The ancients knew this. That's why they left us millennia-old prayers that still resonate strongly today, like the Lord's Prayer, the Gayatri Mantra, or Psalm 23. Energetic formulas charged with power. Prayer, in that sense, is a spiritual inheritance of humanity, a tool that transcends religions and beliefs, that connects atheists and the devout, that unites science and faith, and that continues century after century to heal the invisible.
Silent prayer and the language of the heart. Not every prayer needs words. Sometimes the most powerful prayer is the one made in silence, when the heart pours itself out in presence without needing to say anything. It's like when two friends look at each other and understand everything without saying a single word. In the spiritual world, silence also speaks, and it speaks loudly. Silent prayer is not the absence of sound, it's pure presence. It's when the mind quiets down and the heart takes the lead. And in that stillness, something profound happens. The connection becomes finer, more truthful. There's no noise, no ego, no fear, only surrender. And there, between one breath and another, the sacred reveals itself. Many masters recommended this type of prayer. Jesus withdrew to pray alone. Buddha became silent beneath the tree. Francis of Assisi spoke with his eyes, because they knew the divine doesn't require a spectacle. It manifests in sincerity, in surrender, in the vibration of the now, and silence is the purest channel. So next time you want to pray, try saying nothing. Just close your eyes, breathe, and feel. You may discover that the deepest prayer is the one that doesn't try to explain, it simply loves. How to develop a daily vibrational prayer practice. Creating the habit of daily prayer is like watering a sacred plant within yourself. At first, it may feel forced, but over time, it becomes a need. And it doesn't have to be complex. It can start with 2 minutes in the morning, giving thanks for the day, or at night before sleeping, sending love to someone. The most important thing is consistency. Daily practice isn't about quantity, but quality of presence. And each person can find their own way, writing a letter to the universe, repeating affirmations, chanting a mantra, or simply sitting in silence with an open heart. Vibrational prayer is this: to feel, to vibrate, to surrender.
A powerful tip is to create a personal altar, a little corner with objects that elevate your energy: a candle, a crystal, an image, a plant. This space becomes an anchor point for your practice. Every time you sit there, your body already understands it's time to connect. And little by little, prayer stops being an isolated moment and becomes a state of being. You begin to pray while doing the dishes, walking down the street, smiling at someone, because you realize that to pray at its core is to remember you are already connected.
The true miracle, what happens inside the one who prays. Many people expect external miracles, a healing, a job, an answer. But those who pray with their heart soon discover that the greatest miracle doesn't happen outside, it happens inside. The real miracle is when anger turns into forgiveness, when fear gives way to courage, when pain makes space for compassion. Prayer brings us home. It helps us remember who we are, where we came from, and what we came here to do. It cleans the mirror of the soul until we can see clearly again. Sometimes the world stays the same, but we change, and that alone is enough to change everything. This inner miracle is silent but profound. It doesn't come with fireworks, but with a peace that once seemed impossible. It doesn't erase problems, but changes the way you face them. That's why those who pray often begin to live with more lightness, more purpose, more presence. In the end, praying isn't just speaking to the divine. It's remembering that the divine already lives in you. And maybe, just maybe, the real miracle is you. Final reflection. Now that you've made it this far, tell me, after all this, do you still think prayer is just meaningless superstition? Or are you beginning to realize that prayer, when done with truth, may be one of the most powerful tools for inner and energetic transformation we've ever had at our disposal? The real question isn't whether prayer works, but how you've been using this power every day. Do you pray with faith or in a rush? With presence or with fear? Have you ever thought about turning your daily routine into a constant vibrational field of connection? Because the universe responds to what you vibrate, not just to what you say. Now pause and reflect. What kind of prayer do you want to send into the world today? One that repeats fear or one that plants trust? One that complains about life or one that honors what is sacred within you? The choice is in your hands and your heart. If this message touched something inside you, share it with someone who also needs to hear it. And of course, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and stay with us on this journey of spiritual expansion and vibrational awareness. Because here, we don't just speak to the invisible, we vibrate with it.